Hi viewers, thank you very much for joining Telecom Legends series. Today we have got real legend of telecom industry. मैं प्यार से इनको टेलीकॉम के विषम पितामह भी कहता हूँ. हमारे टी आर दुआ साहब जो कि मेरे कॉलेज के सीनियर भी हैं और इतने सालों से टेलीकॉम इंडस्ट्री में हैं और टेलीकॉम इंडस्ट्री में उन्होंने बहुत बहुत कंट्रीब्यूट किया है. So, Dua sir, thanks a lot for giving us time today. Actually, you're not only a telecom legend, you're also a TSSC trainer. So I think you're contributing to telecom industries in hundreds and thousands of ways. So first of all, I think I'd like to hear from you, or rather all people would like to hear from you, how your journey from Punjab Engineering College started and how you have handled various things in telecom. I think that will be most interesting for us to hear from you.
Thank you very much, Arvind. I think it has been a very interesting journey because it started my career immediately after the passing out from the engineering college. We found that the jobs were also outside as well as defense. So I joined defense there as a signal officer in the Air Force. I did work for about 15 to 20 years there and contributed a lot, and I was also awarded a mention in dispatches by my seniors on that. So be that as it may, there were certain circumstances which made me to take a voluntary release and retirement from the defense. And also by then I had also done my MBA in international marketing, diploma in this. So I thought of now moving back to the corporate sector, which I did. And the transition has been very smooth. My first assignment was one of the MNC there, the Alcatel, which I joined them, it was pre-opening of the sector. That time it was only manufacturing which opened to the private sector.
Which year was that?
Which year was that? Around 1989.
Oh my God.
So 1989, the then government and the Narasimha Rao was the prime minister. He opened the sector to a private sector, and that was the first one. Was only opening of the manufacturing sector which happened there, and I continued there for almost close to 5 years, and also made sure that the transfer of technology of the line switch was also made over to the ITI Bangalore and ITI Naini at that time. We brought that line switch from there. At that time, there was a competition from people like AT&T, Ericsson, Siemens, etc. But Alcatel was the best choice that time in because they've been in the country for a while. Having worked there, then this sector again opened to the mobility part of it, which was again almost close to 93, 94. I was approached and I switched over from this sector to mobile itself. Then that was my first job which I took up with the Airtel. For many years I worked with them as a director, policy and government policy and regulation of that. And later part of it, then I took up few more assignments in between when the UK-based company was the Auger broadband wireless system. I worked with them, and then I was also told with my experience to move over to the Cellular Operators Association India, where you and me have been interacting for a pretty long time while you were with the Videocon, if I remember correctly. Yes, you were with the Videocon that time. That was a good stint and that was a good exposure for me to handle that sector itself with a very wide exposure with many regulatory and the frequency and spectrum management issues came in hand. And then I was also heading for some time there before Rajan Matthews moved on to this. By then this organization, I don't call association, this DIPA, I don't call it, I always call it an institution because we built up this institution with a clear-cut difference between the other associations. One is the equality of vote itself, which is a very serious. You know it from the cellular guys, the votes are divided as per the revenue, but this one we decided that irrespective of who owns whatever infrastructure is owned by them, has an equal right to vote and equal right to contribute. That one thing which came, the then chairman, now also chairman, Mr. Akhil Gupta, he was very candid in this that we need to have people and also those people who have also been in the infrastructure industry with an equality in the participation. That was a big thing, and it was departure from our other sister organization, which were basing their only on the revenue side. So been there with them now since last more than 10 years. We also had many ups and downs in the telecom infrastructure. That's why I call this as a evolution to revolution now, both in the telecom sector as well as the infrastructure industry. So that's where it happened now over there. And there were a lot of challenges in this sector of infrastructure. We continue to face a lot of challenges, but and in 2014 onward, when the honorable, the present government came, I think they were very proactive of making sure that the robust infrastructure is put in place if we are really going with the telecom sector and also 5G. This is a big journey there, and this journey is continuing with that.
Wow, I think it is so interesting. And no wonder, like any major webinar, any major event I go, I think whether it's government organized or any association organized, you are the speaker over there because everybody wants to hear from you because you have such a vast experience in telecom, spread so much. And also, those are, I know, you look very young and normally you don't share with us your age, but indirectly we'll calculate how much total years of experience you have got today. When did you start working?
Uh, See, in the telecom sector itself is almost close to 37, 38 years of experience. In all put together in defense, it is almost close to 49, 50 years now.
Oh my God, that's really good, very good, superb. And I think the way like the way you move around, the way you interact, I think we'll be seeing you another 20 years, definitely contributing to the industry. Thank you very much. Excellent. Good. So, those are you are also, I think, associated with Telecom Sector Skill Council from the very beginning. Like me, earlier we were colleagues on the board, and now I am running it as an organization. But we do get a lot of support from you. So, what is your guidance to the youth for future? At least what skills they should acquire? What is the best way to grow? I'm talking mainly from school and college dropout students. What is your guidance for them?
If I understand your question, Arvind, rightly, that what is that need the students who are coming out of student and their need to look into their future, whether it is an infrastructure or I think this is a very relevant question itself. I think if you look at the whole technology, the way it is moving, we have seen technologies evolution from 2G to 3G to 4G and now 5G. Every time we have gone into this new regime, I think there has been a there has been a need for a definitely robust in telecom infrastructure required. Both the things go in parallel. If you say network, if you say the radio, if you say the connecting the people, and also the connecting, how do we connect it with the robust infrastructure, it is very important, and both of them they are going parallelly. So with the result that over a period of time we have really grown. If I look back now, when I remember when the first 100,000 subscriber came, I was in Airtel. We celebrated with and with gold coin to each of our directors. which was given to each of our directors. That was in Obereyes, celebrating 100,000 subscribers. And can you imagine today they have almost close to 40 crore, subscribers. Similarly, if I look back, the infrastructure little bit took a little longer to come into the picture because the emphasis that time was for the by the telecom service provider. They initially, if you recollect, the whole infrastructure was creation was being handled by the telecom service providers, but that was not their perfect domain, and this was not their domain because their domain was how do you connect the people. The domain was how do we ensure connectivity to the people. So therefore, they hived away whatever infrastructure were created by them, and that is how this institution or the organization and association, like that time, the then time was the Tower and Infrastructure Provider Association, came into be way back in 2010-11. That's how it came into the, which was again a brainchild of Mr. Akhil Gupta, who is also the president of the TSSC and is also the chairman for continuous many years, the chairman of the now DIPA and others. There are many firsts to his credits if you look at the concept of the sharing of the infrastructure, very, very important. I think there's a need that the students can understand sharing concept, and which is a unique concept in this country, which has not happened anywhere till about 5 years back. When we used to talk of telecom sharing infrastructure, the outside world, when we used to visit, they were surprised. So therefore, this concept, I give you example, there are now 7,50,000 towers and almost close to 2.5 million, 25 lakhs radio sitting over it, and 37 lakh kilometer in the fiber, which is again in, but it has happened because there was a sharing. For the students to understand, if the sharing concept was not there, having this many BTSs, we would have put so many towers itself. Simple language. But the towers were being shared by the operators sitting over it by means of radio. That is how this concept became relevant, and it was very useful. See, for the newcomers, it was easier to go to the market. Capex saving, OPEX saving, energy saving, and easy to go to the market became easy. That's how the sharing concept came on this. With the sharing concept coming on in 2010, when we had just less than a lakh of tower, less than a lakh, and today we are sitting over 7,50,000 towers, that too with the sharing concept, which is very important. Now, going back again, how do we make sure that it is also useful for the new technologies? As the technology get moving on this, the infrastructure need also kept on changing for this. Take a case of 3G to 4G, and take a case of 5G now, which was launched by the Honorable PM on 1st October 2022. Because of the spectrum which is available for 5G, the densification of the network became paramount. Now, with the densification of the network, what we required is the distance between the two infrastructure, the two towers, where the radio has to be put, has to be reduced. So we went back to the discoms. So because they were the easier target for us to make use of their poles. So therefore, what we did is we did the first proof of concept with the Kerala government, identified around 90,000 of the discom poles and carried out the gun, and we found that the utility of these poles is very important for making sure that the 5G gets into a place. Now, 5G getting into place is very important. You see, look at, we've been in 2G, you've been a part of 2G to 3G and further. We've been laggards than this. But here, I think we are more, advanced than many of the countries today because of the creation of the parallel digital infrastructure which is required. And within less than a 1 year time, you have close to around 2 lakh BTSs put for the 5G. BTS is the base transceiver system. and also complete almost 650 districts have been covered on that. So be that as may, therefore the concept of 5G, concept of the new technologies kept us on the toes to create the infrastructure on this. That's how we continued with this and pace. That's how we are coming on to it. Now the other issue, if you recollect, is very important issue, two important issues which need to be addressed by as a digital infrastructure provider. What is one is the right of way policies, which is very important because if I have to create a infrastructure parallelly to make sure that the connectivity run, I need the right of way. Right of way mean over the ground and under the ground. Over the ground is the towers which were there. Under the ground is the fiber which is there. So therefore, very important is. So therefore, there was an late government continued to come with various reforms, various policies, and that has been recognized by the government, various outside international governments also, that the enabled policies exist in India for investors for working in India. So that was one part which came onto this. Now, this one, when now this RRW, one for a national digital communication policy came, which had a number of verticals to address security part of it, address the your power sector, address the broadband, etc. All those five verticals were addressed. This is how this infrastructure came in. But then this policy came, which was again in 2016, 2018, again now with the time changes, with the new technologies, whether it's AR, VR, IoT, M2M, there is a need to continue to again create the infrastructure, which is what has been happening on this. Then the row of policies which came in the amendment to these policies, I think reforms to this were both in the telecom service side, both at these are there. The biggest reform came in about 2 years back when the Honorable PM and on the Honorable Minister of Communication are found to make sure that there is a ease of doing business available there. Also on this side also the row of policies which came August 20, then 21, then 22, and then the in-building solution, then 5G policy came. This is how the reforms continue.
I think very, very knowledgeable things because you have experienced all those things. I think I got a very specific question because, and this is something which we have to tell to the youth. Uh, Tower technicians and tower related jobs and infrastructure related jobs, what is a career path for them? Because a lot of times what we have found, they don't want to take this, they find it as too hard work, and they believe there are some easier jobs to do. But do you think this as a career has got a better career path that within 3 to 5 years or 8 years they can get better remuneration versus any other sector they choose?
This is a good question. I think having been with the TSSC also in one avatar or the other, and you having taken off, which have made the tremendous, I think, progress in the TSSC, and also the visibility, Arvind, during time has tremendously improved, which is very important because for this kind of infrastructure need, you need a middle level people education, which as we have discussed, you can have the ITI diploma guys, you can take the graduates from their side, which is very important. So what is required is you need to skill them. Now, there are a few areas which we need people at that level. One is the operation and maintenance, then the rigging of these towers, and also laying of this fiber, cutting of the fiber, and also putting all this is we need there. For that, what you need is that you need a nothing better than the TSSC who has been conducting these courses to make sure that the people at that level and it's easier to groom them. And if you look at, and let me give you one example of the recent introduction by the Ministry of Defense, like Agniveers.
Yeah, that's right.
What they have done, I think this has been a tremendous success story for India Many countries have started. Initially, there were a lot of happen, but the progress that has been in the case of people, you induct people some level, train them, skill them. Over a period, if you find them, they are fit to do it, they are exceptional in that, they continue to upgrade them. And there are people to go, and people have risen on that level. It's a similar story in case of the telecom skilling, reskilling, upskilling. In this case, for the startups people, for the people who are in the college side or school side, or in the ITI side, they need skilling on this. And there are a lot of people, a lot of curriculum that you have been discussing, I think is fair enough on that, which needs upgradation from time to time, upgradation from time to time, and the technology gets evolving. We had earlier one, if I give you an example, there used to be very simple tower, bilkul, trust type.
Bilkul.
Today you go towers which are only like a straight pole type. If you go to further, many of the places I have been there, and you would also observe if you go there. I've been to many places, Chandigarh. You can't even make out the design of the towers, and you can't make out is the tower or something like that. Alongside the sector 16, 17, they've been
Yeah.
put, and with giving a flavor of a rose, which is there.
Right.
We've found. So therefore, the technology has been changed. There are certain constraints also. Why did they change the design, which is very important. So therefore, there is a role for the people to design it. There is a role for the rigor. There are people for installation. They need to be skilled on this. So therefore, very important is that you need people at every level to do it. We found the initial towers were like चारों तरफ तारें लगी हुई हैं सब लगाया हुआ now you can't find out now you further go into this pole type you will not be able to find out there is a radio sitting over it so therefore designer operation maintainer diesel fillers fiber cut work करने वाला fiberization करने वाला all that what is required to be taken.
Issue is lot of youth, they don't go to tower because it is difficult job. Then if it is known to them that if they continue with tower technician's job, after 3 to 5 years, their remuneration will be much better than any other area. So is it really happening that way?
It is really going to happen. There is a difficulty. There was a difficulty bow with the change in technology. Let's take up a fiber guide. Now fiber comes in many, it's 24 fiber, 48 fiber, 96 fiber. If he's a good technician, he knows what kind of fiber he should put. Because if he has to put fiber which is of 96 fiber, which is of no use, is a cost saving which comes. Then fiber cutting, fiber, because fiber, along with fiber, you have another associated equipment which comes with that, which is again an important. And then there is an overall operation and maintenance. You people get upgraded to, and in each tower company and in each circle, and you say there's a guy called operation and maintenance officer there. So they have all, over a period, those who found good, they have upgraded them as an operation. In the operation maintenance guy, he has to see that the all that what is required is the diesel requirement is there, air conditioning is there, then also the sheltering is there. The next comes in the green energy part of it. As an initial guy who comes into this, when he gets upgraded, he now we can train them onto the green energy in the ESG part of it. Therefore, to avoid pollution, create the sustainability, I said there is a need for people to skill them into the energy, that is solarization of these towers. Then you have the hybrid, whether you want to put batteries. Battery is a new technology, Arvind. Now,
Yeah.
if you look at 100 and 200,000 towers, you'll find as far as the green energy is concerned, renewable energy is concerned, we have more than 30% towers which are with the renewable energy. And out of 30% also, many more are still on running battery. What you need is for the tower to maintain. Energy management is another big area which they need to be involved because it is a 30% of the operational cost goes into the energy part of it. So therefore, it's very important to make sure that he is involved with the renewable energy, battery technology. Now, the battery technology which has come is a lithium battery. I think which has a life of more than 5 years. That doesn't need it, but we need to do that, which is very important. Then there are solar farms which are available there. How do you go back to this? Then there is also how do you ensure that you get the cheapest power by way of the open access from people who are already producing this energy and pumped into the grid. So therefore, another one area is beside the tower riggers and beside the fiber wala, there is also a big scope for the energy management.
So, which was your first handset? What do you use? Mobile handset? Which brand or which model? Do you remember?
You will be laughing actually. This is way back when 93 first launch was done. I was working in, I think, the Airtel itself. The first set that we got was around 1 feet long handset, which is a Motorola set.
Right.
And Motorola one. And that
Ah,
too, very difficult to get it from here. They organized these sets to come from Dubai. So that is why we got this. And today you see that. Today you see this small set which is coming and with all facilities.
right.
So that time you were able to say hello to each other. Today you
Yeah.
can do anything and everything on this. So that
Right.
is one part which you will be surprised. And I have kept two sets at my home. One that, another one वो दूसरा होता है ना लैंडलाइन से रिंग करते हैं ना वो भी रखा हुआ है मैंने क्योंकि वो याद कराता रहेगा
Very
मुझे.
good. सेकंड क्वेश्चन इज आपकी फेवरेट ऐप कौन सी है जो आपको सबसे अच्छी लगती है यूज करने के लिए? एनी ऐप यू यूज?
See, it's a good question. I use many apps on this, but I basically use in a different parts. When I need something, I need Amazon and Snapdeal and Flipkart. When I want to eat something which is very, then you know those. When I
Yeah.
want to get something, but there are interesting apps for educative apps like YouTube, etc. Also, they give you a lot of guidance also, and you can go to those apps and keep on understanding.
Which movie is your favorite movie? All time favorite movie?
If you ask me, I still like Diwar.
Oh, I endorse it. One of the best movie ever. Right.
And the day before, अगर आपने देखा हो again, this is now old pictures are again coming back to the PVRs, and one of the picture which is coming is Diwar.
Right.
And Diwar is one picture, if you take it from the corporate side, which tells you, and if you remember that when he throws a coin to the boot polish guy,
Uh,
and that fellow says, फेंका हुआ पैसा नहीं हम उठाते.
बहुत बढ़िया.
Beautiful picture. That's
एक
one
एक
I
line.
have seen number of times.
That's right. One book which motivates you the most. Favorite
Sorry?
book. Your favorite book.
Favorite book is one of the book that I like is I was recently reading one of the book is that recently it was released by Akhil Gupta. If you remember, I'm not reading that is insight given to the total evolution of the telecom industry and also the calculation how did the whole revenue share was calculated. That's favorite book. I have recently gone through it, but there are a number of. I'm more fond of reading magazines rather than is that India Today is one, White Hat, and I go through those magazines more rapidly. But this book, I keep on, there are beautifully selective chapters into this, which you can read it right from the infrastructure to telecom, the revenue share, the spectrum management. He's done it very well.
Thank you very much, Dua Saab. Thanks a lot. It is always pleasure talking to you at a personal level, official level, I think everywhere. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Arvind. It's great to speak to you. Thank you.